Next up, we have the Talons of the Emperor. So these are the personal bodyguards of the Emperor himself. So the one in the middle.
Whoa, was this the one other box I was thinking about getting?
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy in the middle, that's the Emperor.
That's pretty cool.
When he was alive.
Wait, do you think I could have, if I got that box, would I have had the Emperor?
No.
Okay.
No, the Emperor is a corpse.
Well, I don't know.
These are the bodyguards of the Emperor and his will. The main bulk of this faction is made up by the Custodes. These are, they're basically Space Marines, if Space Marines were the factory line genetic soldiers. The Custodes are instead a unique piece of art. There is only ever 10,000 of them.
Oh, yeah. That's what I found really interesting of them.
Yeah. They usually don't retire. And
so they just die
They
off, right?
have been on duty and protecting the Golden Throne for those 10,000 years. They will stand immoving for centuries and act within milliseconds if a threat appears.
So let me guess. The 10,000, you have to die off, right? To get a new one?
Often, some, yes, they will die off and they'll have to get in, but they try and keep it to the 10,000.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when a Custode actually slows, and when I mean slow, I mean like they're less than 5 millisecond reaction time. Like the reaction time is changed by a millisecond. They are retired because they are incapable of protecting the Emperor if their reaction time has slowed that much.
Oh, so they do retire them out.
They do retire them out. And at that point, they become something called the ears of the Emperor, and they go out into the Imperium to listen for threats that could be made against Terra or anything else. They're not sneaky because these are 10-foot tall Greek god statues.
I remember that. That's why I wanted to play them. And then, you showed me the little Lotus babies. But before that, I was actually going to pick that faction. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, they are absolutely powerful warriors. One Custode is capable of destroying an entire regiment of guard.
Yeah.
They are worth 10 to 50 Space Marines. They will hold, 100 of them will hold off an entire Tyranid hive fleet if necessary. They are that strong.
Question for you.
Yeah.
It seems like there are certain factions that are stronger than others in terms of one of these guys is 50 Space Marines. So when you play the game, how do you equalize that?
Sometimes lore does not match gameplay.
Okay.
So if you were to run a Space Marine army, you might be running 50 to 60 models. If you were playing with the Custodes, you'd be playing with 15 to 20. That's how it kind of comes out in the gameplay. But it is funny because you would look at one of the matchups boxes that they had was Custodes versus Gene Sealer cults, which I'll explain Gene Sealer cults. But it's you get 10 Custodes versus 30 models. And it's no, lol, there's no winning that. It is Custodes all the way. But they balance it out in game. So that way it's not a feels bad moment, right?
Okay.
And also to ensure that you don't have too low of a model count, because then it doesn't become easy for you to win with a low model count.
It does or doesn't?
Doesn't. It's harder. Not only do they maintain their peak physical performance by regularly having things called blood sports, where they will, one group of Custodes will attempt to...
Like the Spartans.
Yeah, they will attempt to infiltrate the Golden Throne. One side infiltrates, the other side tries to defend. Mm-hmm. And that is how they keep themselves up to date on how to protect the Emperor. But they are also poets and scholars. When the Great Crusade, which is when the Emperor was going out and reconquering the galaxy, the Custodes were his ever confidants. If he needed advice, he didn't go to his Primarchs. He went to his Custodes because they had his ear. They listened to him and they gave him advice, and he would often listen to them more than he would listen. He would listen to his Primarchs. Mm-hmm. They're also given the duty of protecting weapons and technology from the dark age of technology. There's vaults deep within Terra that have weapons capable of destroying entire solar systems. And one faction is dedicated only to doing that. There are different factions, again, so the Order militants within the Battle Sisters, or different Space Marine chapters. You have different Custodes that are designated to do different things. One of them is just protecting those weapons. Another one is what they do is they actually go out into the galaxy, and there might have been a prophecy of something about a random guardsman. And this custody will show up and defend this person with their lives, because this person will have a major effect on the Imperium in the future. Often a lot of main characters that are in the guard were actually protected by by this segment of Custodes.
Okay.
Which can be funny because like you're a 6 foot tall like dude who's like in the middle of a battlefield.
I just poked myself.
You're just a regular guardsman that's out in the battlefield, and suddenly this like 10 foot tall Greek god in golden armor shows up and says, "I'm here to protect you."
Protect me all you want.
Quote, "Give thanks to those most courageous and loyal of guardians, the Adepteus Custodes, who stand in constant vigil over the Emperor's palace. A veritable legion of warriors ready to lay down their lives without doubt for the beloved ward of mankind. None pass through the imperial palace without their knowledge. Steeped are they in the arcane secrets of the labyrinthine edifice. 10,000 blades await the calls to arms, to defend against any threat from without or within." Custodes actually have a very connected history with the Adeptus Sororitas, which I will explain when I actually go into depth about the Sororitas.
When are we going into depth? I thought we already did it.
No, there'll be there's an episode just on the sisters that we'll do.
Because I'm playing the sisters, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to do that one early because I figured you would enjoy that.
Yeah, for sure.
These perfect men were not fully capable of protecting the Emperor from all threats, though. None of them are psychers. So none of them have that ability to tap into the warp and make things change. So instead, another order was actually created to fight alongside the Custodes. And this is the Sisters of Silence. All of these women are blanks, and they are, once they've taken their vows, they will never utter a word again in their life.
Can you imagine me becoming a Sister of Silence?
Yeah.
You can?
No, not really. You can't stop talking. The sisters of each of these women, though, are blanks. So remember how I was saying that psychers have like a bright light, and these are like dark black holes, essentially?
Yeah.
So each one of them are anti-psychers, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And give an example of it's like during the Horus Heresy era, there was a Knight Commander, Genitia Kroll, who was a major Sister of Silence commander, who was also known as the Soulless Queen. It's a badass title.
Does she talk?
No. They have their own way of communicating with one another, as well as the Custodes. They have an intricate sign language that they use. Mm-hmm. But they are like trained immensely in order to protect the Emperor. And also they actually are the ones that are running the black ships. So they have to fight against psychers consistently. So just to give you an idea, a Sister of Silence is the one on the left.
Can you zoom in?
Whoop. Oh, come on. There you go. Yeah.
Do they have ponytails with red hair?
Yeah, they have ponytails.
And why wasn't I shown that one?
Because they're not very well represented in the tabletop at the moment.
Okay.
They're lumped in directly with the Custodes, and there's only about, like, if you see the Retributor Squad box, there's only one box. It can make 2 different types of units, and there's like 1 character model, and that's it. So they're very a small sub faction, essentially.
Totally moved this. They were good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quote on them. "As a child on Gehenna, I remember the stories of the White Maidens, terrifying ghosts that would come in the night to steal away the witch-born and children who had done terrible wrongs. It was said that they could find the wicked no matter how deep in the hive they sank or what forgotten spire they climbed. As I grew, I came to believe such things were no mere superstition. But now that I am an officer of the Great Crusade, bloodied upon the battlefields on score of worlds, I have come to find that my childhood fears were true and quite valid." Because remember, they're blanks. No one wants to be around them. That's the Custodes, and that is the Sisters of Silence.
Okay. So if I got the Custodes box, that was the gold ones, right?
Yep.
So now give me a layman term for them. I got one for you. Gladiators.
Yeah.
Or we can just say Spartans.
Spartans kind of fits in there.
Keep track of this.
Golden
I want a
Boys.
list. Golden Boys.
The Golden Boys. Bananas.
No.
They're actually, people jokingly call them bananas.
No.
Because they're